Alright, so I'm going to be playing a single player skirmish here against 7 brutal enemies. Now this isn't the most politically correct game. I'm pretty sure it's actually banned in Germany, but as real-time strategy games it's actually quite fun and quite challenging if you pick specific teams. What I'm demonstrating here though is how the allied team is incredibly overpowered with their Prism tanks. So this is me versus 7 brutal AI, the hardest AI in the game.
New construction options. Building.
I've also chosen a map that's very easy to defend and has a lot of resources, especially if you're in the top left corner like I am. So it's not exactly the most fair fight. First thing that I'll do is be getting all of the ore, or actually the oil refinery things here. They provide a slow, steady trickle of resources that can be used to purchase everything in the game. The main handicap for the allies is that their ore extraction process is very inefficient compared to the other team. The Soviets are a Soviet-based team. So in getting all of these ore refineries, or oil refineries, I'm able to get around that and be able to build up a team fast enough in order to defend from the 7 AIs coming at me. Now the special for this team, the Americans, is that they get a lot of paratroopers, but I'll be using it rather minimally as I'm trying to reduce casualties as much as possible and see how few casualties I can have and still beat the 7 AIs. Now due to this map, the enemies get paratroopers as well. Normally the Russians don't get paratroopers, but there's a capturable building that gives you access to paratroopers, and since my team already has paratroopers, that means I get 2 paratrooper queues. Now fighting the Russians or any of the Soviet teams in this game, one of the main units that will be thrown at you is the blimp, which has some of the highest hit points of any unit in this game, so you have to build lots and lots of anti-aircraft, especially when going up against 7 of the enemies, because each one of these enemies will be throwing 3 blimps at you at a time. So 7 times 3, 21. The most you could possibly get is 21, but the AI is not quite that coordinated, so you'll be getting a steady stream of blimps coming at you. I'll be guarding the entry into my base here mostly with Mirage tanks, as the AI can't target them until they've been attacking their units for a while, or if they're moving. And they're very effective against both armor and infantry. A lot of the fantasy weapons used in this game would be probably banned by the Geneva Convention as being inhumane, especially the Prism tanks and the Mirage tanks. They set people on fire, and that's, yeah, you can't do that in the real world. For good reason. This is probably about as realistic of a game as Czar, the RTS dealing with a lot of magic and medieval type of creatures and characters. So this isn't meant to be a realistic game. Here I actually lose my first unit, because I actually accidentally drove him right underneath the blimp that was falling. Pretty much every unit that I lose during this game will be because of my clicking wrong. Or forgetting. I'm going to be building here 30 Prism tanks, which is kind of a little bit overkill, but just that's the maximum queue you can build, so I'm just going to build the maximum queue and do with that. Here I got actually really lucky with one of the crates where all of those Prism tanks are now armor upgraded Prism tanks. Something that you can't build, you have to get from a box. You can find a lot of things in the boxes, anything from construction vehicles for enemy teams to armor upgrades to ore trucks, lots of things. Hell blimps are starting to come more in force, but I still might be able to break through my defensive line. Here I actually lost another unit by not realizing that my Rocketeer guys were in the way of the Apocalypse tanks. These Apocalypse tanks are actually the strongest units that you can get from the Soviet team in this game. And the AI, of course, doesn't attack anywhere near in force enough to get through my defensive line. They will only attack, I think, 4 or 5 of the Apocalypse tanks at any one given time, so they're kind of no match. Once you get familiar with the game, the AI is actually quite predictable and it's easy to fight against. At this point, the anti-aircraft line is almost finished, and I've started building 5 of these Guardian GIs here that will be going inside a battle fortress to make a portable, high-powered anti-aircraft gun, as when I'm attacking these bases with my Prism tanks, there's going to be some defensive helicopters that I'm not going to be able to shoot with the tanks. So I'm going to be bringing in the battle fortress when necessary to destroy the helicopters so that I'm able to continue on with the tanks. Because one of those helicopters destroy a couple of my tanks, it gets full promoted, it destroys the whole fleet of tanks. Because they can't shoot at it. Alright, so the Prism tank team is built, and we're ready to go on the offensive. I didn't actually destroy any more of that because those trucks might be carrying nukes, I'm not sure. They're the exact same model as what's used, and sometimes when there's nukes involved, so I didn't actually go anymore destroying those. Those might have blown up half my tanks. So now the defensive line is pretty much done, so we're going to go on full offensive here with these tanks. And here I actually drove a little bit too close with one of them, and boom, there went. I lost another unit. Destroyed that barrel of explosive next to the barn because that's just a hazard. Could lose a lot of tanks to an explosive barrel. Especially weak ones like these Prism tanks. They're very powerful, but they're very weak when it comes to armor and can easily be destroyed. Bringing in the battle fortress here, as there's a helicopter in the way. I'm not going to go any closer before I destroy that helicopter, because I don't want to lose half a dozen tanks to one stupid little helicopter. That box only had money in it, but like I said, a lot of the boxes can have some really great things in them. You build these Franken teams where you have all of the units from all of the teams, and you put stuff inside other units that aren't supposed to be able to do it, and you get really high powered benefits, like a battle fortress full of Yuris that can mind control people, things like that. It's actually a lot of fun to figure out what you can combine when you have both teams on your side. You construct all of the characters from both teams. Battle Fortress is also useful because it's able to drive right over most of the walls that are built in the game. Now, when it's really effective to shoot is the enemy ore trucks, because the Prism tanks just bounce off of the ore trucks as well as damaging ore trucks, and you can destroy half a base just by targeting their ore truck. Now they've started sending the blimps after my tanks, so I'll bring in my battle fortress to destroy the blimp. Drive around in circles until the battle fortress has destroyed it. And keep going. Did a bit of waypointing here, but I kept accidentally clicking on the ground, which makes the guys move on the waypoint when I didn't want to move them. I wanted just to target things, so we stopped using the waypoint at this point system. Stopped using the waypoint at the system at this time. Now the battle fortress is fully promoted, so it will do a lot of damage to those helicopters now. It's also very effective against armor, but I'm not using it for that. I'm just using it for anti-helicopter usage. And anti-tank. A lot of the reason why my guys are doing so well is because I have the machine shop and a hospital keeping them full health. A fully promoted unit will automatically repair itself, but anything underneath that will not, so you need to have a machine shop or something like that, or even an APC with an engineer in it to automatically repair your guys. Otherwise I would have been taking a fair bit more casualties than I am. I did have short game enabled, as you just saw. One of the helicopters fell from the sky because I destroyed all those buildings. If I was playing a person, I'd never have short game enabled. Sometimes there's glitches where they'll build like a sub pen or something, and the submarine will get stuck somewhere and you're not able to find it. So when playing against AI, I normally do short game so that the AI isn't able to hide a unit somewhere that's unfindable. Here we have the last enemy. It's almost destroyed. And I think I've lost 2 Prism tanks, maybe 3 out of the 30. Most of them are all full promoted now, and here we go. So all in all, it was a very effective mission. We lost 7 units, 2,375 kills and 75 losses.